Hello and welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Big Lee, and this week I want to talk about how wargaming's future might just depend on one thing. So we often hear that wargaming is greying, implying that if nothing changes the hobby will fizzle out and fade away with the current generation. And of course I think the evidence to the contrary is more than abundant, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be trying to bring in new players and expand our wonderful pastime so that even more people can enjoy it. So how do we get our message out about our hobby outside of the echo chamber to a new audience of potential players? So I think that running demo games at unconventional venues is certainly part of the answer. So why am I discussing this particular topic? Is last weekend I went to the Cavalier Wargame show in Tunbridge in Kent. Now, I did a video review of the games shortly afterwards, as did several other YouTube channels. Now this is usually my group's first Wargame show of the year, and aside from spending a lot of cash with the traders, we always enjoy looking at the games and chatting with groups putting on demo or participation games. Indeed, my own group, Posties Rejects, always put on a demo at the Broadside show in Gillingham in the middle of the year, June, and we've recruited several new members to our motley band following such events. But later in the year we are also going to be talking about taking part in an event hosted at a local museum, where many of the potential audience for our game will be non-wargamers. So this week I thought I would discuss the role of public engagement, taking your games out on the road, in its role in growing our hobby and building our wonderful community. So the historical wargaming community in the UK has long been a niche but vibrant aspect of the broader tabletop gaming hobby. Over the years its engagement in the public has evolved, particularly through wargaming shows and demonstration games held in museums and living history events, as well as at shows. These venues provide a unique opportunity to expose the hobby to a wider audience, including those with an interest in history but no prior experience necessarily of wargaming. The question remains, do such events significantly contribute to the growth of historical wargaming? So I think that museums and living history events provide an immersive historical setting that naturally aligns with the themes of historical wargaming. By showcasing wargames in these spaces, hobbyists can introduce the concept to an audience that is already predisposed to an interest in military history. Visitors who might not attend a dedicated wargaming convention may find themselves intrigued by a well-presented game at a museum where the historical context is already well established. And living history events, which often include reenactments and demonstrations of historical warfare, offer another prime opportunity for wargamers to reach a public audience. The crossover appeal between reenactment groups and historical wargamers can foster interest among individuals who may enjoy military history in a hands-on way but have not yet explored tabletop gaming as a form of engagement. The ability to directly compare wargaming to historical tactics, or wargaming of historical tactics in such a setting, makes a very effective outreach tool. Now, compared to 20 or 30 years ago, I think historical wargaming has shifted towards a more proactive approach to engaging with the general public. I mean, in the past, wargaming was often, I think, an insular hobby, with most events being held in private clubs or conventions, catering primarily to existing enthusiasts. That's certainly how it felt when I was starting out, playing tabletop miniatures games and looking for the next new adventure. However, the rise of social media, YouTube and other online platforms has, in my humble opinion, encouraged a more outward-facing approach within the wargaming community. Now, many wargaming shows now incorporate demonstration games explicitly designed to introduce newcomers to the hobby. These games often use simpler rule sets and visually striking layouts to draw in spectators, and participation games where visitors are encouraged to actively join in are also becoming, well, they've always been common, but they seem to be becoming more common at shows that I attend. These break down barriers that may previously have made wargaming seemed inaccessible or standoffish to the outsider. But in particular, museum-based wargaming events often include educational components that link directly to historical studies. Schools and educational groups sometimes participate in such events, helping to introduce younger generations to historical wargaming in an accessible and engaging way. This focus on public engagement is a notable departure, I think, from earlier decades when wargaming was more likely to be seen as a pastime for dedicated hobbyists rather than something open to casual participants. Now, one of the most significant changes in the wargaming community over the past few decades has been the move towards greater inclusivity. Historically, wargaming is often seen as a hobby dominated by middle-aged white men like myself with an academic interest in military history. While that demographic still forms a core part of the community, modern events are more conscious, make more conscious efforts to be welcoming to a diverse audience. So you go to a wargaming show these days, you're more likely to see families and women joining in games, and so there's potentially lots more customers and lots more potential future wargamers. And one of the things I think I might pivot a bit back to what the video I did the other week, one of the successes of Warhammer and the Games Workshop brand is the fact that they have demonstration games going on in every store at some point or another. So these are on the high street where casual shoppers might go past and see a game being played. It's obviously a very effective tool for getting new players in the doors, interested in the game, and ultimately buying into the games that they sell. That's why that company is so huge. And lots of other wargaming companies have gaming tables in their stores. So clearly taking demonstration and participation games out to where the public are is great for building the hobby. So why shouldn't historical wargamers be doing exactly the same with their hobby in other public venues, like I say, like museums, like living history events, or indeed any venue that is open to having a wargaming table out on display? So for example, a few years ago I did an event that was raising money for veterans so that they could go to Normandy, and I was asked to put on a small demonstration game. So you had actual veterans who were at D-Day on one hand, you had a guy with tables full of equipment and weapons for reenacting, so he could show that off, and in between I had a table with toys, my wargaming soldiers out and play set of rules and get people to throw some dice. And it took place in a shopping centre, so you had a wide range of people who weren't expecting that. They might have come up because they're interested in the equipment, or they saw someone in uniform, or because of the veterans were there. But while they were also engaging with the hobby and seeing that actually there was other elements to enjoying this period of history and being engaging with it. So I found that was a very good way of getting people interested in and understanding, and less fearful perhaps, of this strange hobby of wargaming. And I think that last bit, I say that with a smile on my face, but public facing events do offer an opportunity to counter misconceptions about wargaming. For instance, while some critics have historically viewed wargaming as glorifying war, public demonstrations often emphasise its educational value, strategic depth, historical analysis. This shift in perception can only benefit the hobby, making it more widely accepted and understood, and less threatening to parents who want to know what they buy their kids for Christmas. So I do believe that public engagement through museum-based wargaming events and living history demonstrations and other venues undeniably contributes to the growth of the hobby. By bringing wargaming to spaces already associated with historical interest, these events provide an accessible entry point for new players. More importantly, they encourage intergenerational participation, introducing the hobby to younger audiences who might not otherwise encounter it. Furthermore, the increased visibility of wargaming through such public events helps to sustain and expand the community. While wargaming clubs and specialist conventions remain crucial spaces for enthusiasts, public events provide a crucial bridge between the dedicated wargaming scene and the broader population. So to conclude, the evolution of wargaming shows and public demonstrations over the past few decades reflects a broader shift in the hobby towards greater engagement and inclusivity. Events held in museums and at living history gatherings provide an excellent opportunity to introduce new audiences to historical wargaming, fostering growth, broadening participation. By embracing public outreach and adapting to modern expectations of accessibility and inclusivity, the historical wargaming community ensures its continued relevance and expansion. The more the hobby is seen as an engaging, educational and welcoming activity, the stronger its future will be. So all of this leads to a question for you. Have you or your gaming group, if you're part of one, ever run a demo or participation game at a wargaming show? Or indeed, have you ever run one at a museum or other sort of location? And if you have, what do you think you got out of that experience? Did you adopt new players and forge new friendships? Or did you feel like you had encouraged curiosity from non-players and maybe, just maybe, broken down a few barriers in the process from people who perhaps had never even encountered or considered wargaming as a hobby until that moment? As always, I would love to hear what you think in the comments below. So we've got time for a Workbench update. Now, a few weeks ago I completed a couple of units of Russian Opolchny militia for the in French invasion in 1812, the retreat from Moscow, and I enjoyed them so much I decided to expand this section of my growing army. I was immediately tempted by the options offered by Perry Miniatures and decided a small artillery piece would be good with the foot troops, so I purchased a 3-pounder gun with its associated limber. Now, to be honest, I haven't been able to find out much about the use of artillery with the Opolchny, so I've had to fill in the gaps a little. Some sources mention that Cossack Opolchny had used captured Turkish guns dating from the 18th century, and I guess that makes sense. Modern artillery pieces would be used by the regular army, but these older, supposedly obsolete weapons would be ideal for the militia. Now, the sculpting on this particular model was really nice, but my one criticism of this set is that none of the ropes between the draft horses and the limber were included. I couldn't reconcile myself to the omission, so I ended up making some ropes using a few metal spears that were left over from an earlier project. A little bit of texture added to the ropes with a file and a bit of pinning to the horse and cut to the right length. I was able to attach the horses to the limber. Surprisingly difficult to find pictures of how these things were harnessed, but I think I eventually worked it out correctly via a bit of head scratching and not a little bit of swearing. But I'm pretty happy with this modest little bit of conversion work. Now, I also had time to work on a wagon and some casualty this week. Now, I found this particular model painted but seriously battered in a box of terrain that I normally, or I used to use, for face-to-face role-playing games. It's made of resin and it had taken quite a bit of damage over the intervening years with a lot of the paint chipped off. So basically I gave it a good clean up, gave it a new coat primer and then repainted it. I also made a pile of grain sacks from green stuff to partly fill the back of the wagon and left just enough room for one lucky passenger. Now, this particular guy, these two models are from Perry by the way, this guy may survive the battle simply because he's been able to get up off the ground, unlike his companion who's succumbed to wounds and the cold down there on the hard ground. As I mentioned, both are Perry Miniatures and are painted as Jaegers with green uniforms and black leather belts and straps. So that's it for this week. As always, please join the conversation in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share. And if you want to keep up to date with weekly content from this channel, please tap the bell notification icon. So until next week, stay safe, keep gaming and of course keep rolling away.